Joining us now is former U.S. District Judge for the Southern District of New York, Judge Shira Scheindlin. Judge, thank you so much for being with us. Where to even start with that? How unprecedented is it for the Deputy Attorney General of the United States to go down and to interview someone who has already been convicted of a crime?
It's unprecedented for someone of his position. It's not unprecedented, however, to speak to somebody who's been convicted who maybe now can provide important evidence. The only problem is, listening to the clips that you just played, yes, she may know all the dirt, but how do we know she's going to tell the truth? The problem is she has so much to gain from one man, the man who can give her a pardon. So it seems to me that she will want to please that man, and we have to be very suspicious of what she says under oath. We'll have to see, but I'm concerned.
Are you uncomfortable at all with some of the other close ties between the people involved here? Todd Blanche has gone on her attorney's podcast in the past. So these are people who know each other at minimum, at least in a social capacity. And I wonder, when you look at all this, do you see him going in there as a prosecutor, as a negotiator, deal maker? What is Todd Blanche's job as he goes to Tallahassee to get this done?
Well, his job is to be the Deputy Attorney General, but his loyalty is to Donald Trump. What's unprecedented is that the president's personal attorney has the second highest rank in the Department of Justice. I don't think that's happened in the history of this country. So, again, I'm suspicious of Todd Blanche's motives. I'm suspicious of the president's motive, and I'd be very careful in evaluating the testimony of this witness.
When you look at a case that spans as long as this one does, I mean, for 3.5 decades, and you have somebody like Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, with all due respect, who it's not clear to us how steeped in it he is in these files. Number one, how quickly can a prosecutor ultimately, get their hands around such a case that is 3.5 decades long? And then the second part of that is unlimited immunity being offered to Ghislaine Maxwell. How normal is that, and what does that look like from the Deputy Attorney General?
That's pretty normal. There is this phrase, queen for a day. You probably heard it used. That wasn't just for her. That's done all the time, where you get immunity limited for that questioning, that interview. That's okay. It's done. So that's not worrisome. But your other question, Todd Blanche was an experienced prosecutor in the Southern District of New York. I'm sure he prepared for the questioning of her. I'm sure he reviewed files. He also has people under him who could have summarized what's there. So again, I think he can get his arms around the facts of the case. My concern is where the loyalties lie and
Judge,
where the incentives lie. Yeah.
Judge, I want to talk some sort of insider baseball, if you will.
Okay.
We've seen now this administration struggle with its permanent appointees. We saw it in New Jersey with respect to its U.S. Attorney, Alina Habba, and now we're seeing another one that's about to expire in Nevada. It's clear this administration understands that the future of our democracy rests with the judiciary. So what are you thinking as you see some of these appointments start to expire around how this administration is approaching sort of filling these very important U.S. attorney positions across the country, as well as, federal judgeships as well?
Well, I couldn't be more troubled with what's going on now. When you have an interim appointment, it expires in 120 days. It's over. At that point, the court, the full court, meets and decides who it wants to appoint. It chose not to appoint Alina Habba in New Jersey. It chose not to reappoint the fellow in Albany. The judges will meet, I think, tomorrow in Nevada. I'm not sure of that. And if the judges decide on somebody else, it should be over. But it's not over with this administration. He fired the one that they chose in New Jersey, that the judges chose, and said, Alina Habba is the one who's going to be the U.S. attorney. So he's making it a separation of powers war between the executive branch and the judicial branch. And this is really raising the temperature of that war because he's taking them on directly. It is their power now to pick the U.S. attorney, and he's not respecting it.
On this front, can the judicial branch win that war against Donald Trump's executive branch?
with the Supreme Court doing what we've seen the Supreme Court do?
Right. I mean, that's the problem. I can't give you that answer. I sure wish I could, and I wish I could say the judges should prevail, because they should.
It gives you pause, though.
Under the law. But if he fires the person they pick, and he then appoints the other person as now a Deputy Attorney General of the United States in charge of this office. So he finds a workaround, and that person. So as far as I understand, New Jersey, the two ladies are both insisting that they are now the U.S. Attorney for New Jersey. I don't know how this is going to end, but it's not pretty.
Judge, speaking of questionable firings, given what we've seen transpire with the Epstein story in the last 2-3 weeks, do you see what happened to Maureen Comey in a different light? A lot of people thought this was just about her last name, a way to strike back at her father. But because of her connection to Epstein and those prosecutions, do you see that differently now?
I don't know. I think he had a dual motive in firing her. It gave him great pleasure to fire the daughter of Jim Comey, who he hates. But it's true that she was the lead Epstein prosecutor. She knows the inside and outs of those cases of Epstein, of Maxwell. So
Well, she could ostensibly be more dangerous outside of government, where she's more free to speak publicly.
Yes,
she,
but she wouldn't breach grand jury secrecy. She would never do that. So I don't, although she's outside government, I think she would feel bound by ethical rules not to say what she's learned from files that are not yet released. But it looks like there's going to be a subpoena. There is a subpoena coming on the DOJ, and those files are going to come out. I think the chairman's going to sign it. He said he would. And so in 30 days, those files will be there. And Ms. Maxwell is going to be testifying on August 11th, but in a closed session. We won't get to watch.
Your
Judge.
Honor, always a pleasure to see that you have not lost your touch. Judge Shira Scheindlin, thank you for being with us.